on, everyone? James Nine Numbers here, and welcome back to another episode of the Political Freedom Fires podcast. Now, I do apologize for not uploading a new episode of the Political Freedom Fires the last week. Unfortunately, I had been facing some severe Wi-Fi issues that has prevented me from uploading videos onto YouTube. So, unfortunately, my Wi-Fi problems were not doing so good. I actually had to get someone from my internet service provider to basically upgrade my Wi-Fi just so that way I can get it working again. And yeah, luckily there haven't been any Wi-Fi problems in a few days. Hopefully that keeps up, but I'm not sure. I do not trust my internet service provider at all. But anyways, with that being said, in this episode of the Political Freedom Fires podcast, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be going over an unaffiliated campaign that has actually been unable to get on the ballot due to a lot of their signatures being thrown off the ballot. Despite getting more than what they supposedly needed to get on ballot, enough of their signatures were thrown out to where they weren't able to meet the threshold. And who am I talking about, you may ask? Let me see if I can pull this up. I am talking about the one and only. Now, some of you may not know this person because I have not interviewed this person yet, but the one, the only Gunner Wieboldt, who is going to run for NC House District 54. And you know what? I need to show myself in a tile then. All right, there we go. This is the man right here. And yeah, the main reason why I'm talking about this man is because of the fact that over the past few months, I have actually not been made aware of this, but over the past few months, he's actually been in a fight against the State Board of Elections in order to get on the ballot. And let me show you the petition search, just so you're all aware of what's really going on. This right here is the petition search page by the North Carolina State Board of Elections. Now, for those of you that do watch my main channel, you'll know that I report on this like every Saturday. So, yeah. And here's the thing with Mr. Gunner Wieboldt's campaign. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. If I am pronouncing it wrong, I do apologize. It could be Weibel, because I think it could be German. I don't know. But as you all can see here, he needed like 2,738 signatures. Currently, he submitted like 3,636, and unfortunately, only 2,011 have been validated. And as you all can see here, he still has time to turn in signatures as of right now. He has to turn them in by August 10th. It looks like he got an extension. But as you all can see here, I need you all to understand, he's actually not the only one who's been facing some severe insanity by the State Board of Elections. Look at Brian McGinnis, running for U.S. House District 2 as a write-in. Like, 263 out of 578 signatures verified. And if this fly will freaking go away, I don't think it will, which sucks. But anyways, when you look at Brian McGinnis's signature validation rate, it's actually less than 50%, 45.5%. That is bad. And look at Miss Tina Hunter Rod for U.S. House District 9 as well. So I'm just telling you all this because, well, Mr. Wieboldt's actually not alone in this. 654 signatures divided by 1,068. That's a 61% validation rate. And look at Sheree Chandra Smith. 2,852 divided by 6,516. A 43.7% rate. This is bad. This is like very, very, very bad. And as you all can see here, April Montgomery gathered enough signatures to get on the ballot. And luckily, her signature validation rate is okay, 85%. Though even then, I would argue that 85% is actually low for someone who basically did the work to gather signatures. It should be like 90% at least, if not 95. So yeah. Needless to say, the State Board of Elections is trying to throw out signatures so that way they can make sure that some people don't get on the ballot. And as you all can see here, when it comes to like Gunner Wieboldt's signature rate, he's running to be the state rep for Chatham and Randolph County. Look at Randolph County. This is terrible. And look at the gap in Chatham County. This is bad. Yeah, basically what the County Board of Elections have basically done is they specifically targeted his signatures, just went through everything carefully, and when they saw like a little tiny mistake, boom, they just toss it out. Unfortunately, this is normal. These board of elections do not care about us, unfortunately. And in this episode, I'm actually going to be going over the articles. Let me see if I can pull them back up. I am going to be going over through each article that Mr. Wieboldt has posted on his website. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from April to July. And unfortunately, I have not been able to keep up with this at the time because in the last month I have been facing some Wi-Fi issues, and prior to that, I've been doing some other events. But I've been finally made aware of this, and I think it's finally time to talk about it. So with that being said, let's start with April 7, 2026, since that seems to start it all. All right, let's read it together. Open letter requesting support from North Carolina's parties. So yeah, basically, in every single news articles, he has the original PDF file that he sends as well. So there's that as well. Okay, April 11, 2026, from Gunner Wieboldt. Petitioner to be an unaffiliated candidate for NC House District 54, 2026. Okay, yeah, we don't need to look at that. God damn it! Damn, these flies don't go away. Seriously. Request for support of unaffiliated candidate petitions for NC House of Representatives 54, pursuant to NCGS, North Carolina General Statute, for those that don't know what it stands for, 163122, by mail and email to party leadership statewide and in Chatham/Randolph counties, and to the District 54 incumbent. Dear party representative or incumbent, I need your help to uphold the principle that elections in North Carolina need a choice. The voters in District 54 in the upcoming election for North Carolina's House of Representatives deserve at least 2 candidates on the ballot. It goes without saying that an election without a choice is no election at all. This is not a request for an endorsement. I recently petitioned to be added to the ballot for this election as an unaffiliated candidate, motivated by the fact that no party was putting up opposition to the incumbent. This seemed wrong. If incumbents are not forced to defend their record in a competitive election, every election, then our democracy will begin to look like the so-called democracies of authoritarian regimes abroad. Despite having only 3 months versus the normal 5, he only had 3 months? God damn. Further reduced by 2 weeks of weather emergencies. God damn. I secured nearly 4,000 signatures. However, in an unprecedented use of taxpayer-funded discretion to invalidate these signatures, including grounds not supported by the statute, example, DOB, address change, wrong county but correct district, only about 2,000 were accepted by the Chatham and Randolph County Boards of Elections, approximately 3% of registered voters, falling short of the 2,800 required 4% of registered voters. I will, of course, challenge these results both at the Board of Elections and in state court if I must. If my challenge fails, however, then the incumbent will run unopposed. Yeah, boo! Hold on, let me get a drink. Yeah, boo! Boo! For those that don't know, Gunner Wieboldt is running against the Democratic incumbent, and the Republicans have decided not to put up a challenger because basically they're cowards. So, yeah. When incumbents are allowed to run unopposed, then the very nature of our republic is threatened. The spirit of NCGS 163122 is to permit more choice in elections. But here, in the seemingly partisan or bureaucratic claim to be following the statute, the consequence is to deny any choice at all. This is not a partisan matter. All parties profess to uphold democracy. Ensuring a choice at every election is the bare minimum proof of this commitment. All I ask is a letter, email, or even a text message that I may use in my upcoming challenge that states something to the effect of, insert your name's organization. Supports Gunner Wieboldt's challenge to the rejection of his petition to be addressed as an unaffiliated candidate for the 2026 election for NC House of Representatives District 54. It is our understanding that if Mr. Wieboldt is not on the ballot, the incumbent will run unopposed. This is not a desirable outcome. This right there is so damn accurate. Yes, this is unacceptable. A one-party dictatorship is unacceptable, and I just wish the Democrats and the Republicans would understand. But let's be real. You know it, I know it, we all know it. They'll never listen to us. And it's not to be mean, it's just the sad reality of our state and our culture. It really sucks. But anyways, back to reading. Your timely response is requested, as it will be used in support of my challenge, and every day that I am not a candidate is one less day that the voters of District 54 are denied a choice. Respectfully, Gunner R. Wieboldt. So this is the document here as well, and let me see if I can I don't know if I can pull it up. Can I like zoom in? I can zoom in. Okay, so basically he sent in like an email, and he basically sent it to the North Carolina Green Party and in the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and the Libertarian Party, aka the four parties that are currently on the ballot in North Carolina. So there's that as well. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let me go back real quick. Public records request. Chatham County Board of Elections. All right, here we go. All right, here let's read this next article right here. NCGS 132-6 demands the records on unaffiliated petition supervision for District 54 and related Chatham races. All right, here we go. So this is basically to the Chatham County Board of Elections. Subject. Oh, god damn it. Staying call. Subject. Request for public records re unaffiliated candidate petitions pursuant to NCGS 132-6. Dear Mrs. Pascal, pursuant to NCGS 132-6, I am requesting copies of all public records relating to the supervision and administration by your office of the unaffiliated candidate petitions to be on the ballot for the 2026 elections for Chatham County Sheriff, Chatham County Board of Commissioners, and NC House of Representatives for District 54. Subject matter. Public records include documents, handwritten notes, text messages, electronic files, correspondence, or emails created by your office after November 1st, 2025, relating in any way to the subject matter. You will conduct a thorough search that will, at a minimum, cover the following search terms: Wieboldt, Coble, Fogelman, Reeves, that's the last name of the incumbent, by the way, District 54, Sheriff, Commissioner, Unaffiliated, Independent, Signature, Verification, No Record, Petition, Disqualify, Candidate. Of particular interest is any correspondence between members of your office and 1. Members of your office, 2. Incumbent office holders, 3. Candidates for office, 4. State agencies, or 5. Political party representatives, relating in any way to the subject matter, including but not limited to the manner and criteria in which petition signers will be / have been accepted or rejected. Now this sounds a lot like what happened in 2022 with the Greens, what somewhat happened with no labels back in 2023, and in 2024 with what the State Board of Elections did to the Constitution Party, but also specifically the We the People and Justice for All parties. I know I'm a broken record on this, but this is all way too damn coincidental, and it sucks. Your prompt attention to this matter is appreciated, as any delay could prejudice my pending challenge to be on the 2026 ballot. Furthermore, delay could materially impact whether the voters of Chatham County have a choice this November. I have no objection to paying reasonable copying or administration fees to fulfill this request per the statute. Respectfully submitted, Gunner R. Wieboldt. A parallel April request went to Randolph County as well. Later, SBOE filings treat both as exhibit material. The controlling text of this Chatham demand is the downloadable original. Alright, that's pretty good to hear. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that Mr. Wieboldt is actually taking some action, because it's not easy to actually take action. It takes time and it takes money. Unfortunately, not everyone's going to have that. In fact, almost nobody's going to have time to spend time and money challenging the two-party system, because the two-party system has a ton of resources, and let's be real, third parties and independents are culturally not favored, and because of that, people aren't going to spend their time and money into a third party because they think, why even bother, right? So third parties and independents are bound to not have a lot of resources, and yeah, if you don't have the time and the resources, you can't really build like the organization that you want. And it's really hard to find people because, well, people don't want to do it. People don't want to put in the time, or more likely, they don't have the time. investing in a third party or independent does take a lot of energy and time, and unfortunately, most of the time, that all ends up going to waste. Not because they don't want to, but because the culture is basically it's always been anti-third party. And I know I keep saying culture a lot, but that's often the reality. The culture is very, very, very unfriendly to third parties and independents. So that's just my opinion. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Wieboldt's also a veteran as well. So the fact that they did this to a veteran, wait a minute, wasn't Matthew Hall a veteran as well? And he ran for U.S. Senate in 2022 as a Green? That's odd. That is very suspicious of the Board of Elections. Huh, that is very sus. Anyways, speaking of the Green Party, on May 23rd, 2026, the North Carolina Green Party submitted a statement of support. NC Green Party leader to the State Board of Elections supporting Gunner Wieboldt's petition to appear on the ballot as an independent for NC House 54. All right, here's the address to the North Carolina Green Party headquarters to the State Board of Elections. Greetings to the board. This letter is in support of Mr. Gunner Wieboldt's petition to be placed on the ballot as an independent candidate for NC House 54 in the fall 2026 election. Mr. Wieboldt seeks to satisfy the requirements of GS 163-122. 163-122. It is the position of the North Carolina Green Party that the laws governing the participation of minor parties and independents in North Carolina are an impediment to participation in the political process. Yes. These laws are made by the major political parties without citizen input. That is so 100% true. We can go back to House Bill 958 earlier this year, which, by the way, I think it got there have been some updates on it since then. And I haven't checked in too much on it, but unfortunately, the process for House Bill 958 is still going, so that's pretty not good. And we can even resort to last year with the changes in the petitioning process, and I actually did a video on that as well last year. So basically what I'm saying is the North Carolina Green Party is 100% right on this. The fight against the two-party system on ballot access laws have been long and brutal and tough. But unfortunately, it does have to be done, or else our state will have no option but to result into a one-party dictatorship. And that is something that we all do not want. Anyways, these laws are made by the major political parties without citizen input. They work to the advantage of the major parties, as the laws protect them from having to contest elections with independents and minor party candidates in all but those cases where the candidates or parties can spend the money and time needed to collect the signatures. Recent rule changes have made the process even more onerous. The major parties are conveniently exempt from having to prove their own acceptance by voters. Yeah, this is unacceptable. The rules aren't even applied equally. It only applies to third parties and independents. That's not fair. A consequence of this, true in other states as well as in North Carolina, is that candidates often run unchallenged. In effect, the major parties have divided the state among themselves, with whichever party is in power seeking to gerrymander the other party out of competition for legislative minorities at both the state and national level. The resulting divided territories aren't contested, as the voters are already chosen to support the candidates in those districts. Yes, this is very true. Gerrymandering is very bad, and I've talked about this before, but basically all gerrymandering does is basically try to the goal of gerrymandering is to basically win an election by rigging them in the first place, by making sure that some voters are able to live in this district or in the other district, just so that way they can gain more power, because some voters tend to be more reliably Democrat or more reliably Republican, and they want to make sure they can win without trying to convince the voters. And that's just not right. The resulting gained non-competitive elections do not favor to the citizens of North Carolina, but they are especially injurious to non-affiliated voters and voters aligned with other parties. Voters do not register as independent or as members of another party because they are Republican or Democrat. Thank you! Yes! I am so sick and tired of Democrats and Republicans saying independents tend to lean more Democrat or independents tend to lean more Republican. That is a damn lie. That is a damn lie. and I am sick and tired of Democrats and Republicans saying this. That just shows that they do not know anything about unaffiliated voters at all. I'm sure there's probably some that do vote Democrat or Republican, but let's be real. A plurality, if not a majority of unaffiliated voters, vote unaffiliated because they are sick and tired of the two-party system. Not because they favor Democrats, not because they favor Republicans, but it's actually in spite of the Democrats and the Republicans. And to any Democrat and Republican watching this who believes that and if any Democrat or Republican is watching this and thinks that independents should vote Democrat or Republican because they are more freedom-minded or more in favor of democracy, like, I don't know what to tell you except do not subscribe to my channel because that type of thinking is exactly the problem with our corrupt two-party system. You are not entitled to our votes. You gotta earn it. And in my opinion, with the third parties in my state having fought against the two-party system when it comes to ballot access laws over the past few years, they've earned my vote. You guys have blown it. So basically, to the Democrats and the Republicans who say, I should vote Democrat or I should vote Republican because I'm so spoiled and ungrateful, or I need to vote between the lesser of two evils, to those of you that say any of that, you're welcome to leave you're welcome to leave the podcast if you want. I mean, I'm not going to force you to stay here. And for those of you that are tired of the two-party system, you just remember, we got a long way to go, but the fight is worth it. So, yeah, I'm sorry about the tangent. This just really, really upsets me. And yeah, they do so because their political positions are not adequately represented within the two-party system, but they are barred from supporting their own candidates in most cases. This is especially true for unaffiliated voters. Yes, that is true. The ballot signature requirements for unaffiliated at state-level offices are much more strict than third parties when it comes to statewide races. And the opposite is true for U.S. House, NC House, NC Senate, more of the state level races. But no matter what, but even then, not a lot of unaffiliated are able to get on the ballot. And even worse, unaffiliated voters are banned from being represented at the state board of elections. And yeah, this sucks. And I'm sorry. I really want to. I'm sorry. I really want to cuss out the Democrats and the Republicans right now, but I really, really don't think I should because I do not want to get in trouble or anything like that. Mr. Wieboldt has done his best to meet your standards, which are difficult even for well-funded candidates who can hire signature collectors. We ask the board or other authoritative body to accept Mr. Wieboldt's candidacy and place him on the ballot in the general election. Sincerely, Wayne Turner. All right. We got a statement from the North Carolina Green Party out of the way. But, yeah, the next article we're going to go over is Mr. Wieboldt's first request for hearing to the State Board of Elections. Okay, this is pretty cool. First request for hearing, State Board of Elections. Request for a hearing to challenge the denial of a ballot inclusion for District 54, citing delayed records production and approaching ballot deadlines. All right, here's Mr. Wieboldt to Sam Hayes, who is the executive director. All right, let's read this together. Dear Mr. Hayes, on April 10th, 2026, I sent letters to both the Randolph and Chatham County Boards of Elections requesting documents in support of my intended challenge to their decision not to include me on the November ballot for NC House District 54. In the case of Randolph County, I received a mere handful of documents that are almost certainly insufficiently responsive to my request. And for Chatham County, despite several demands for records through their retained counsel, I am still awaiting documents more than 2 months after my demand letter. Damn! 2 months? 2 months! That's a pretty long time. Sorry, everyone. 2 months, that's a pretty long time. It may not sound like a long time, but when the timeline for collecting signatures is very small, 2 months is a pretty long time. Imagine having to wait like 2 months to get your package delivered. Like, a lot of people would be very, very upset. Like, imagine like, sorry, it made me literally think about a package that I actually ordered like a couple months ago that I actually never got back. So I'm actually currently in the process of filing a refund for that. So, but seriously, yeah, think about like, imagine like ordering a package. You order a package from someone, but they say that, oh, your package is here, but your package actually never shows up, so you have to like file some things in order to get your money back. But but the company that you ordered from never responds. This is basically the electoral version of this, right? It's basically the electoral version of trying to get basically trying to get a refund in order to get a refund because your package never arrived, all because your seller refuses to respond. It's basically the electoral version of this, and it's really annoying. Unfortunately, Section General Statute 163-122D, that a person whose petition has been canceled may request a hearing in accordance with Article 11B of this chapter, does not provide sufficient guidance for proceeding. Article 11B deals solely with challenging a candidate's inclusion on the ballot for constitutional or statutory grounds. It emphatically does not spell out a clean path for a candidate whose petition was reduced below the statutory threshold by signature rejection. The full filing, including the legal argument, factual background on signature collection under truncated time and weather emergencies, and the ask for relief is in the original PDF. Use View Original PDF above or the embed below for the complete text and any exhibits as served. District 54 deserves a contested race. This hearing request is how that fight was put on the state board's calendar. Oh, okay, so this was placed back a little while ago, and you know what? I kind of want to see if there was like a video on this after I finish reading these articles, but okay, so basically like a month later, he basically ended up putting a final challenge letter ruling in lieu of hearing by the State Board of Elections. Okay, this one's pretty big. Follow up to the June 13 hearing request after weeks without a hearing date, asking the State Board for a ruling in lieu of hearing so District 54 is not left without a choice. Alright, here's a follow-up letter. Dear Mr. Hayes, on June 13, 2026, I sent by registered mail and subsequently by email my request for a hearing to challenge my denial to be on the ballot for District 54, attached thereto as Exhibit A. Despite that the most relevant portion of NCGS North Carolina General Statute 163-122 requires a hearing date be set within 5 days of the request, it has now been over 25 days without a response other than confirmation of receipt on January 26, 2026, at the latest. Wow, really? This delay coupled with the almost 3 months and counting taken to fulfill my record request with Chatham and Randolph County Boards of Elections, despite the extraordinary step of hiring outside counsel to assist, see Exhibit C, make it appear that election officials are either derelict in their duties or are engaging in a systematic campaign to delay and frustrate efforts to give the roughly 68,000 registered voters of District 54 a choice this November. This July 11 filing asks the board to act, including by issuing a ruling in lieu of hearing if a timely hearing still has not been set, so ballot production does not moot the voters' interest in a contested race. The complete letter with exhibits is large, scanned PDF. Read the controlling text in View Original PDF, the viewer below. Sister letters of support from the Green Party and the Libertarian Party of North Carolina are published alongside this challenge in the file. Damn. And yes, there's the original filing there as well. I don't know. Oh wow, these letters are very, very deep. So, yeah, because he went really into it as well. I'm probably not going to read all this. I'll probably send in the links in the description below just so that way you can all check it out for yourself. And you know what? Speaking of which, Let's read the statement from the Libertarian Party of North Carolina, because, yeah, that's pretty important too. LPNC letter urging the state board to place Gunner Wieboldt on the ballot, not as a Libertarian nominee, but so District 54 gets a choice. All right, let's read the Libertarian Party's letter. Dear members of the board, the Libertarian Party of North Carolina writes in support of placing Gunner Wieboldt on the 2026 general election ballot as an unaffiliated for NC House District 54. We do so not because Mr. Wieboldt is one of our own, he is not, but because the principle at stake belongs to every voter in the state. Oh yeah, by the way, there is no Libertarian in that race, just in case you're all wondering. Where was I? Elections exist to give citizens a choice, and ballot access rules should open the door to participation, not bar it. Mr. Wieboldt did what our law asks of independent candidates, and then some. He gathered more than twice the required number of petition signatures from voters in Chatham County, each collected in ink, face-to-face, from signatures who wanted the chance from citizens who wanted the chance to consider his candidacy. Yet more than half of those signatures were rejected in verification, leaving him short of the threshold despite an overwhelming demonstration of public support. When a candidate can present double the required showing of support and still be excluded, the process is no longer measuring what it was designed to measure. Technical defeats in a signature line should not be permitted to silence the clearly expressed intent of the voter who signed it. Without Mr. Wieboldt on the ballot, the voters of District 54 will face yet another uncontested race, and an incumbent will claim a sixth term without ever having to defend his record. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Reeves cannot be trusted. If the incumbent Reeves is part of this whole sham to get Mr. Wieboldt off the ballot, he cannot be trusted. Hang on, I need to sneeze. Are we good? Okay, I think we're good for now. A democracy that recognizes the voice of all of its citizens cannot be one in which thousands of voters petition for a choice and receive none. Broad ballot access is not a favor to candidates. It is a right of the electorate. Every North Carolinian, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or unaffiliated is better served when elections are contested and representation is earned. We respectfully urge the board to review the rejected signatures with a presumption in favor of the voters' intent, to count every signature of a duly registered voter that can reasonably be valid, and to certify Mr. Wieboldt for the ballot. The Libertarian Party knows firsthand how steep North Carolina's ballot access barriers are, and we will always stand with any candidate of any affiliation who clears them in good faith. I can clarify on behalf of the Libertarian Party. Even though I'm not a Libertarian myself, I can verify that the Libertarian Party of North Carolina has still been fighting the two-party system in terms of ballot access laws. I can say that for sure. And, yeah. The voters of Chatham County have asked for a choice. We ask the board to let them have one. Respectfully, Chair of the Libertarian Party of North Carolina, Ryan Brown. And here's their filing right here. And that's all that we have for now in terms of letters in his website. And we're going to go back to the voters petition page for a second. Mr. Wieboldt actually only has, like, as of this video is recording, he actually only has like 5 days. So, and by the time this video comes out, he's actually going to have like only it should be coming out. Our video should be coming out on like the 7th, right? Hold on. Today should be Wednesday. Yep. This episode should be released by August 7th. So when this video gets released, he's actually going to only have like 3 days to like get this done. And that's actually still that's not a lot of time, especially when you consider that like it's really tough to like get signatures as it is. So that's my thoughts on this. The State Board of Elections is corrupt. I don't trust them. I think Mr. Wieboldt may need to sue, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to win this one. That's just my opinion. I hope he does. I would love to see him get on the ballot so that way I can interview him for my podcast. And yeah, that's really all I have for now. And we still got some time left. So I'm going to pause the video real quick. I need to blow my nose real quick. So yeah, hang on a second. All right, everyone, I am back, and while I was doing my own thing, I actually stumbled across some major news recently going on involving the resignation of a U.S. representative that is representing our state of North Carolina, and I'm actually not sure too much about it. I only read a little bit of it, but yeah, we're going to be reacting to this together, everyone. Let's see here. Representative Chuck Edwards abandons re-election bid after ethics panel report released. Representative Chuck Edwards abandoned his re-election bid for a competitive North Carolina seat on Wednesday after an ethics panel released an investigation that found substantial evidence the congressman repeatedly made unwanted advances toward two female staffers. Oh my god, damn. After much prayer and reflection, I've decided to withdraw from my re-election campaign. I will complete my term. Serving Western North Carolina has been the honor of my life. Thank you for your trust, prayers, and support. God bless WNC and America, Edwards said in a social media post on X. House Republican leaders have been privately working to convince Edwards to abandon his bid for the seat after the ethics report dropped on Monday. Two people familiar with the internal discussions told CNN. Top House Republicans were sent scrambling when the chamber's ethics panel took the rare step of recommending that the full House vote to punish Edwards. House members are in their home district for August. The earliest a vote would take place would be in September, but GOP leaders believed it will succeed and would further damage his re-election prospects. The fears come as they're increasingly worried his Western North Carolina seat could flip in November. And you actually have the poll literally pulled up right here, U.S. House District 11. And yeah, this is the district where I interviewed both John Rogers and Travis Grew. Now, I did not release John Rogers' interview because Mr. Rogers had actually told me not to, as he actually dropped out after the video was recorded, but before it was posted and all that stuff. But we did interview Travis Grew, so yeah, that. So if any of you are wondering why U.S. House District 11 sounds familiar, it's basically this district right here, and yeah, Mr. Ager really raised like a ton of money. Still probably going to lose though, most likely. This is a toss-up to lean our district, and I'll be honest with you, I do think that whoever the Republicans decide to put up, maybe they might put up Adam Smith since he did lose the primary, so it would only make sense. But hey, you never know. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. And let me see if my okay, I think my browser's still working all right. A spokesman for Edwards' campaign had said Monday that the Ethics Committee's findings completely exonerate Representative Edwards under the House rules governing sexual misconduct or harassment, and that its conclusion showed the congressman did not violate federal sexual harassment law. Edwards looks forward to having his name cleared and will work to ensure that the full light of day is brought on this process, said Paul Shoemaker, a spokesperson and strategist for the campaign. CNN reached out to request comment from Edwards earlier on the push by GOP leaders. There are other potential hurdles for party leaders. Republicans are still sorting out the procedural questions of replacing him on the ballot so late in the cycle. Edwards easily defeated a GOP challenger to win his primary in March. Inside the party, there was already palpable anxiety towards Edwards' ability to win in a district that Trump won by 9.5 points in 2024. The Democrat in the race, farmer Jamie Ager, outraced Edwards by nearly 9-1 last quarter. The ethics panel said Monday that there was substantial reason to believe Representative Edwards violated House rules related to sexual harassment and hostile workplaces. The committee recommended the House to censure Edwards. Oh damn. A censure is one of the most severe forms of punishment in the chamber, though it does not remove a member and carries no explicit penalties beyond a public admonition. So basically, this is a weak punishment. That's basically what they're saying. The congressman denied that his behavior was intended as a sexual or romantic advance, according to the committee's report, which also said it found no evidence that. God damn it! Hold on a minute. Which also said that it found no evidence that Edwards engaged in sexual activity with the women. So that's basically the CNN report, and wow. So I do wonder who the Republicans are going to put up as Edwards' replacement, but I do think the Republicans are going to win this district. And you know what? I kind of want to read more articles about this because this has spread everywhere, and I figured this is important to read what others are saying. and these ads need to go away right now. At 3:32 Wednesday morning, with most of western North Carolina at rest, U.S. Rep. Chuck Edwards slipped quietly out of his campaign for a third term. After much prayer and reflection, I've decided to withdraw from my re-election campaign, he wrote on X. By the time he pressed send, it must have felt like a dark night of the soul. A dark night of the soul. That is really, what a phrase right there. A dark night of the soul. You know, I have not updated the thumbnails on my videos in a while, but whenever I get to it, a dark night of the soul would be a great thumbnail title right there. In common usage, that phrase has been flattened into a synonym for any rough patch, especially a season of spiritual suffering, doubt, or feeling abandoned by God. But that is not quite what St. John of the Cross meant by it. For the 16th century Carmelite mystic, the true dark night comes to a soul already advanced in the spiritual life. Wait, am I reading this right? Apparently this is the right article. This feels more like a book than a report on Chuck Edwards. What? Oh my god. For the 16th century Carmelite music, the true dark night comes to a soul already once advancing the spiritual life. God withdraws the sweetness of prayer that once made faith feel immediate and reassuring. The soul does not lose God, just the felt sense of Him. It is a purification reaching the hidden roots of pride, selfishness, and attachment that the person cannot see clearly, much less remove through willpower alone. The darkness prepares the soul for a deeper union with God. Edwards certainly had a dark night of the soul in the colloquial sense. Likely what he needed was the real thing. Okay, so this news article might be more of a defense article for Edwards, so I'm not sure if this is a Republican-leaning newspaper or what, but that's kind of what it sounds like to me. And again, a lot of these news media companies are pretty biased. I just so happen to the wording just so happens to be more defensive towards Edwards, so that's what's made me think that this is a Republican-leaning news source. Which whatever, you're entitled to think whatever you want, and yeah. Less than 2 days earlier, the bipartisan House Ethics Committee had released the results of an investigation that included 16 witness interviews and nearly 1,500 pages of evidence. What? It found that Edwards engaged in persistent, inappropriate conduct towards 2 young women who worked for him. Oh, so basically Edwards was lying. Okay, that basically contradicts the Edwards campaign's earlier statement. So, wow. Both women were uncomfortable with his behavior and both eventually left his office. The committee said Edwards had failed to take responsibility for the harm he caused and recommended that the full House formally censure him. Edwards' campaign did not respond with contrition. His strategists declared that the report completely exonerated the congressman and said Edwards has brought no harm to others. His attorneys called the committee's conclusions unfounded. Yeah. Basically, the Edwards campaign is just denying. That's what's happening. If a night of prayer transformed Edwards' understanding of his conduct, his announcement gave no indication of it. Oh, okay, never mind then. I take back what I said earlier with the News and Observer being more of a right-leaning source. It could still be that way, but now I'm less sure. So, yeah. He did not mention the women. He did not acknowledge the wrongdoing. He did not apologize. He simply thanked Western North Carolina for its trust and said serving had been the honor of his life. It is difficult to believe Edwards discovered in the darkness what his campaign was still denying in the daylight: the political calculation. The more obvious explanation is that the political arithmetic has become impossible to ignore. The race was already tighter than it had any right to be. Edwards won the 11th district by 13.5 percentage points in 2024, and the district typically votes 5 to 10 points more Republican than North Carolina as a whole. The district has not elected a Democrat since 2010, when voters sent Heath Shuler, one of the last Blue Dogs in Congress, to a third term. But Edwards never seemed to inspire a deep personal following. His first victory in 2022 was at least as much of a rejection of Madison Cawthorn as an embrace of Edwards. Meanwhile, Jamie Agger has turned out to be something close to a dream candidate for Democrats. I am not convinced he is a moderate on policy, as his presentation suggests. Okay, so this is a Republican-leaning source. Okay, but he has deep family roots in the region and can speak authentically to Western North Carolina. He was significantly outraising Edwards before the report appeared. Once the House report landed, Edwards' withdrawal became inevitable. Politically, censure was the least of his concerns. Major donors were not going to finance a campaign consumed by the report, and national Republicans were not going to risk control of the House to rescue one damaged incumbent. By Tuesday evening, Republican leaders were privately urging Edwards to leave the race. A few hours later, he did. Fortunately for Republicans, Edwards' departure does not leave them without options. State law gives the District Republican Executive Committee the authority to name a replacement nominee, and Western North Carolina has no shortage of experienced public servants with the credibility to step in. The committee should be able to find a candidate capable of making the campaign about the future of Western North Carolina, rather than the incumbent's behavior towards young employees. Voters would get a real choice, and Republicans would have a fighting chance to hold a seat that should never have been in danger. That's true. This seat should have never been in danger in the first place, because this seat is a somewhat reliably Republican district. Edwards' withdrawal was the right decision, but it should not be confused with an act of political sacrifice. The House report has closed off every plausible path forward, and the pressure from his own party merely forced him to recognize it. For St. John of the Cross, darkness matters because of what it purifies and who emerges from it. Edwards emerged from his night without a campaign. His statement offered no evidence that pride, denial, or self-deception had been surrendered with it. In the colloquial sense, his dark night ended before dawn. In St. John of the Cross's sense, it may never have been. So, this article was more of a poetic type of thing. It was more of a spiritual type of thing. That article ended up being way more spiritual, and although it was more moderate, it did certainly lean more to the right overall, in more of a defensive tone for Edwards for a little bit. But they still did provide the facts, and yeah, they still did condemn Chuck Edwards somewhat. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that article. And keep in mind, I have no idea what these articles have said before I read them. So yeah, this next article we're reading: How Creepy Poems and Strip Club Plans Became a Republican Congressman's Downfall. Strip club plans? What? Wait, strip club plans? What? Creepy poems and strip club plans. Oh my god, I didn't know Mr. Edwards was like that. God damn. The House Ethics Committee found evidence that the GOP lawmaker, in one instance, sent an employee 30 different ice cream cartons just to cheer her up. What? Okay, how long is this article exactly? Oh, this is a pretty deep article. Okay, let's read this together. All right. Washington. He planned helicopter rides and strip club visits. He sent 30 different types of ice cream. He did their housework and decorated Christmas trees. He bought them designer purses, guns, and tickets to Broadway shows? Wait, people pay money to go to Broadway shows? God damn. Congress has been buzzing for days about Representative Chuck Edwards' alleged treatment towards two young female staffers. A 60-page report released this week by the House Ethics Committee contains eyebrow-raising accounts and text message exchanges that are unusually intimate, disturbing, and in some cases downright odd. Though the North Carolina Republican has fiercely disputed the panel's findings, the backlash prompted him to swiftly end his re-election campaign, just 2 days after the report's publication. In a statement he posted online in the middle of the night, he said he had came to the decision after much prayer and reflection and would serve out the remainder of his current term. Edwards has denied any Yes, of course. So basically, of course, he's denying the claims, of course. None of the relevant staffers filed a formal complaint against him, and his lawyers said the committee bypassed typical procedures that would have allowed him to challenge certain evidence. Yet the ethics panel concluded that Edwards put the women in an unattainable position, and that any reasonable observer would interpret his pattern of behavior as romantic or sexual in nature. Representative Edwards was at minimum blind to that reality, and at worst dismissive of the impact his inappropriate conduct had on careers and well-beings of two women, the committee's report said. In an extraordinary step, the panel recommended that Edwards' colleagues in Congress censure him. In the wake of a larger ongoing reckoning among lawmakers about ethics on Capitol Hill, the embarrassing situation has become a black eye for both Edwards and the GOP more broadly. As Max Miller, another Republican congressman, turns to the House Ethics Committee to clear his name amid domestic abuse allegations he denies. Both scandals have underlined the outsized role the panel is playing in shaping the midterm election map. Damn, frickin' Max Miller. This report should not only hold Representative Edwards accountable for his poor judgment and unbecoming conduct, the panel wrote in its August report, but also serve as a caution to all members that sexual harassment and discrimination will not be tolerated in the House. Helicopter rides and strip club plans. Edwards' alleged behavior centers largely around his relationships with two young women in his office, one of whom first interned for him in the North Carolina State Legislature when she was 19. The unnamed women are referred to as Staffer 1 and Staffer 2 in the ethics report. Current and former staffers of Edwards' office told the ethics panel they felt he treated the young women differently from other employees. Edwards says he didn't. He wrote poems and made them uncomfortable and showered both of them with lavish gifts, the committee found. The gifts include jewelry totaling over $1,000 in value, designer purchases, guns, and shoes. What the hell? That wasn't all. The panel said Edwards gave them flowers, a laptop, and cell phone. KitchenAid mixer? What? A KitchenAid mixer? God damn. A robotic vacuum? Vacations? Tickets to performances? And one-on-one dinners? He paid for them to gamble and have spa trips. You even went gambling? What the? Oh my god. Wow. He also paid for Staffer 2 and her friend to visit New York City after she had gone through a breakup, the committee found. The trip included tickets to the Broadway show Hamilton. According to the report, people still watch Hamilton. That's crazy. Edwards reportedly brought Staffer 1 on a trip to New York City too, which included a planned helicopter ride over his birthday. What the actual hell? In addition, the congressman talked to Staffer 1 about going to strip clubs in Washington, D.C., and he went to Staffer 2's house to perform chores like yard work. He missed a House vote to help her decorate her Christmas tree. Why? So, wow. Damn. He really had feelings for her, so much so he was willing to miss a vote for her. He was willing to not do his job for a woman, and I'm pretty sure he's married. So, damn. What the hell, dude? In one message to Staffer 2, Edwards wrote, "You're so fun to be with, you're so easy to talk to, and I love listening to you. By all means, let's explore more of DC together. We seem to have a fondness for many of the same things, even where we do not. I enjoy the adventure alongside you." 30 different ice creams. This right here, what? What? Oh my god. In a particularly odd scenario about 2 years ago, Edwards sent about 30 different types of ice creams to one of the young employees. Oh my god. I'm having a little something dropped off for you that I once heard might help cheer you up, he wrote in a June 2024 text message to staffers 2. I hope it helps. She sent back a photo of the array of ice cream cartons on her kitchen counter saying, "Thank you, but this seems a bit excessive," to which he replied, "You look like you needed a lot of cheering up. My heart was breaking seeing you like that." Oh god. Edwards' lawyer cites personal friendship. In a 15-page response to the ethics committee's findings, Edwards' attorneys said the panel's conclusions exonerated him under congressional rules governing sexual misconduct and harassment. They also pointed out that gifts for staffers aren't entirely prohibited in Congress, particularly when based on a personal friendship. The lawyers, Stanley M. Brand and Andrew D. Herman, argued that the ethics panel report is replete with factual inferences and assertions that are either unsupported by the fact in the report or are unsupported by the entire record. Edwards' August 5th statement, dropping his re-election bid, makes no reference to his alleged behavior. Instead, he simply said that serving Western North Carolina has been the honor of his life, and the same tweet. So, yeah. We got 3 more articles to go, don't worry. This one seems to be a little shorter. This one here is also okay. This one might be a little longer, but we can manage. And this CBS page right here, it's what and okay. I don't know what happened. Okay, I don't know what happened with this page, but you know what? We're gonna exit that out, no problem. Since I don't know what happened in that article. Representative Chuck Edwards dropped re-election bid after censure recommendation. Representative Chuck Edwards dropped his re-election bid early Wednesday after his House Ethics Committee concluded he violated House rules over sexual harassment and created a hostile working environment, and recommended his censure. The findings follow Axios' reporting that Edwards singled out two young female staffers in their 20s for special attention that multiple sources described as inappropriate. Why it matters? Pressure has been mounting on Edwards to step aside since the Ethics Committee released its report Monday, amid mounting concerns that Democrats could flip his seat in November. Alright, here's his tweet. The ethics panel's finding corroborated several incidents first reported by Axios, including handwritten correspondence, personal gifts, drinking outings, and casino trips, and cited them as supporting evidence for its findings. Driving the news. Ethics found that Edwards violated House rules by failing to adhere to the spirit of the rules prohibiting sexual harassment of and unwanted advances to House staffers. Edwards has consistently denied any wrongdoing. In a 15-page rebuttal to the ethics report, Edwards' attorneys called the committee's conclusions unfounded. Between the lines, Democratic challenger Jamie Agger has significantly outraised Edwards, and a censure on Edwards' record would have further complicated his re-election prospects. Sabato's crystal ball shifted Edwards' re-election race in North Carolina's 11th district from lean Republican to toss-up last Thursday. What's next? The House had been expecting to vote on censuring Edwards after returning from the August recess, with Republicans indicating this week that the effort would likely succeed. Anna Paulina Luna told Axios on Monday that she would vote to censure Edwards. Sexual harassment is completely unacceptable. A House GOP leadership aide told Axios that they don't see a path where Edwards avoids censure. The House Democratic Women's Caucus calls on Edwards to resign Monday, arguing that the censure has no real consequences. And that's about it. And I guess the last article we're going to read is also by News and Observer again. And I guess this is an update to the previous article as well. 925. Oh, this is an earlier article. Oh, okay, cool. All right, let's read that earlier article together. Embattled Republican U.S. Rep. Chuck Edwards announced early Wednesday he would end his campaign for re-election, but plans to serve out his remaining term. Okay, he basically said the same quote. Okay, the news comes after the House Committee on Ethics released a 25-page report finding substantial evidence that Edwards sexually harassed two young female employees and created a hostile working environment. The committee also released 60 pages of text messages between the congressman and his staffers. Yep. The allegations against Edwards include skipping House votes to decorate an employee's Christmas tree. Oh, so this wasn't a one-time thing. Oh, okay. I thought it was a one-time thing, but wow. So he did this multiple times just cause. Wow, that's pretty disappointing. Buying an employee $1,000 worth of jewelry, designer handbags, shoes, a KitchenAid, a robot vacuum, trips to New York City and Las Vegas, and spending his birthday out of state with one of the women. Edwards and his team denied any wrongdoing, and he testified before the committee that he would say no when asked if he should have treated his employees any differently. On Tuesday, a Capitol Hill source told McClatchy that Senator Ted Budd, a Republican from Davie County, told Edwards to drop out of the race. Budd said through a spokesman he would not disclose his private conversations, but he found the report deeply concerning, and that Edwards faces an uphill battle. Impact of Edwards dropping out of the race. Dropping out of the race now allows the local Republican Party to choose a replacement candidate for the 11th Congressional District in southwestern North Carolina, where Edwards serves. Edwards was facing off against Democratic challenger Jamie Agger, a local farmer with a family lineage of past elected officials. Now, notice how everyone's ignoring Travis Grew. They're seeing him as a non-factor, which I think is lame. But I digress. Republican state lawmakers drew Edwards' early district with strong Republican support, making it seemingly an easy re-election campaign for Edwards. But the investigation of Edwards' actions, coupled with very low fundraising, made election watchers switch the district from leans Republican to a toss-up. Okay, that's Edwards began serving the 11th Congressional District in 2023 after winning the Republican primary against then Representative Madison Cawthorn and going on to win the general election. Voters chose to replace Cawthorn, who had a series of indiscretions that included calling Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a thug, bringing weapons to airports and schools, and a suggestive leaked video with his cousin. Oh, I remember that. That was crazy. I think I remember seeing that video as well. Oh my god. Chris Cooper, a professor at Western Carolina University within Edwards' district, said previously that people in the district perceived Edwards as the grown-up in this room compared to Cawthorn, whose young age, he's 31 now, led to some of his trouble. But in the past year and a half, Edwards has had substantial staff turnover, and rumors about his indiscretions began to percolate. Prior to serving in Congress, Edwards served in the state Senate and owned several McDonald's franchises, which he recently announced selling. Damn, he owns some Damn, he worked for McDonald's? Oh my god. Edwards is still facing a potential censure from his House colleagues, which means after the annual August recess, the House will vote on whether to have Edwards stand in the well of the House while allegations against him are read out. So, yeah. Basically, Chuck Edwards has resigned. The Republicans are going to find a new replacement nominee. And chances are the Republicans are probably going to win this district anyway. I think Jamie Acker is going to be a sacrificial lamb that's waiting to be slaughtered. I really hope Travis Grew does really well in this race. And, yeah, I just hope people stop voting for Democrat and Republican. But, yeah, with that being said, I'm not sure how much time we have left for now. If this video has gone over an hour, I'm going to end it here. If not, I'll probably continue it. With that being said, for right now, if you all have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below and hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel and hit the notification bell just in case you want to get any new updates on the Political Freedom Fighters podcast. And with that being said, once again, I am so sorry for not being able to upload a video last week. My Wi-Fi issues have been bad, but they should be back now, hopefully. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed and I'll see you all later. Peace.